Okay, good evening. This is the meeting of the Police Accountability Board for Prince George's County, Maryland. Today's date is November 8th, 2023. Time is now 6:40. We'll call the meeting to order. Go ahead and take the roll. If you're in person, just say present. If you are participating in the meeting, your board members, please say present virtual.
I thought you were going to say it, if you're not here, say, I'm not here. No.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Mrs. Bryant?
Present virtually.
Dr. Coleman?
Present.
James?
Present.
Jones?
Present.
Nelson? Present. Mr. O'Neill?
Present.
Mrs. Ridley? Sanchez? Present. Green?
Present.
Bergamini? And I'm here, Chair. We have form. Vote. All right, cool. Next up on the agenda, we're going to, look at the minutes of opportunity. Please send those, the minutes out. You get those, Denise?
Unless they came to the last hour, no.
I returned. No. They wouldn't come from, never come from.
Minutes, what, week minutes are we missing?
One from the last.
The last meeting? Okay, so, there you go. Denise, would you be able to get those out for tomorrow?
I don't have them.
Anybody has
What
them
do you
in?
mean you don't have?
I sent you the ones to do.
The update, I made corrections and then you send them back for my
Yes, it's
corrections
for you.
yesterday, today, or what?
Well, I haven't got anything back.
Right.
All right, well, let's do this. Let's, go ahead and table the minutes today. Okay. Thank you, sir. Under old business, AHP selection process.
That's somewhere else.
Coleman?
Mr. Chair, before we move forward, can we go back to the public comment period? Is that supposed to be earlier in the meeting, or no?
Oh, yeah, okay. Do we have anybody that registered for public comment?
Nope.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So the process is underway, the correct process is underway. Again, my apologies for misunderstanding the directive. And so I think I have a draft, but it's not clean. So my hope is to get it out before we depart for the trip. So, today, Wednesday, so the goal is to get it out by Friday.
other things too.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I know. All right. Mark, Joe, next up.
The action items, everything is completed on page 1. If you'll just follow on the pages, so that we can get, I couldn't update all of them, so on the subcommittees to review matrix and provide feedback to PAB members, that was Mr. Melvin, Mr. James, and Ms. Bryant. I know the original time it was required, staff was asked to provide the video and the training book. My understanding is that was provided, so, we wanted to, if either find out if it was completed, the review, or if not, to get a new date for to being able to report back on your review.
I would say, and I haven't spoken with the other subcommittee members on this, so this is just my, commentary on it. We haven't met on it. There were a couple other elements that related to the cases and what we needed to decide on as well. So, at this point, in the decision regarding that was one of the things that we proposed, the need to do it. So, I don't know if it needs to remain open, because for us, it was a closed situation, and if it needed to be revisited in the future, it could be revisited with clear directions on that.
I'm not sure I understand, so my understanding, if it's closed, it's fine, but that you all were gonna review the matrix and then give some feedback. Are you saying that's no longer gonna be the case? I'm sorry.
So the initial issue was getting access to the cases, which we seem to have access now. So selecting a number of cases for us to put against the matrix and have some reconciliation about what the ultimate outcome of discipline was as according to the matrix, and us particularly providing some level of feedback.
Mm-hmm.
We did meet one time initially, and some of the questions about that was, how many cases are actually going to allow us to sort of have some level of consensus about the feedback that we're providing? Mr. James, you could kind of chime in on some of the things that you were looking for too. But that was like sort of our high-level understanding of the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to speak for Mr. James. I think he was hoping for a little bit more specificity about what the feedback would look like, as it relates to the cases. But if my short summary sounds about right, we can still continue to meet and determine a date that would seem realistic for us to pull together that kind of a summary of the feedback.
So do you think it would be helpful to the board, to you all to get that? I thought y'all were kind of doing a deeper dive than maybe some of the other members. So do you want to keep it and come up with a new date, or do you want to?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay.
I'd say leave it open for us, and that'll be something we get together on in terms of having a date.
But can we put at least a tentative, just so, when do you think y'all could? That would be reasonable for you as a committee.
I could chime in. I feel like it maybe doesn't have to be a hard day where, okay, we have everything done at this point, and then we wrap things up. You guys, it could stay open. You guys could continually, just as you guys, because the matrix is not a small thing. So it could be a thing where, you're looking at it, provide updates, every couple of weeks or so. I don't want to put more work on you guys, but, to make it maybe a little easier, instead of doing one big dump all at once, spread it out over a period of time.
So they were trying to help the other members, because they were going a little deeper, doing some insight for the board. So that was why it was coming before everybody else. That was my understanding, but.
I think the original premise was there was a question of concern regarding how the matrix was being used, and if I recall correctly, there were even some concerns from the chiefs that it wasn't as strict as it should have been or could be.
Right.
And we specifically were asked to look at some specific cases,
Right.
to look at them to see. That's when we changed that and said, well, if you're looking at that with the predetermined mindset that it's not strict enough, then you're going in it looking for it to not be strict enough. So we said we would just look at a set of sample cases to see how the matrix is applied and come back to there. So we could set a date. I would say I would let this remainder of the calendar year get completed so that we have a full data set of the year before making a determination on being able to look at that. So for me,
maybe we say at the end of the year or at the beginning of January.
so for me, I wouldn't look until January, at the end of January at the soonest.
January, that's 31st to 30th. But how many days?
Oh, yeah, 31, yeah.
Okay.
So now, dates is,
Okay.
oh,
Okay.
you know that.
That's helpful, thank you, Mr. Melton, Mr. James. Okay, the next one is completed. We have not, completed the rules of procedure. Denise, is that on the agenda for the day?
No, it's not, we're
Okay.
trying to get the, and out of the way, and get some cases done.
Okay. If we could, for that, Mr. Chair, I'm just gonna suggest, at least as it relates, they're different, so we don't have to get the strategic plan out of the way to get the rules of procedure, because I know
Okay.
that there are some concerns about that, so
Yep.
they can be on the same one, even if we don't finish it.
Okay.
Just because I know you want to have the rules to help you all in the meeting.
And everybody should have a loose document with the last set of, questions and comments.
And Denise, I want to make sure I understood this one, because I was just the scribe for each one of these. This was that the rules of procedure, if you hadn't gotten anything, so what they've gotten is what, if people had not responded with comments, they won't be included in what you sent out. So you'll be voting the next time on what was,
Well, you're gonna have to discuss those,
Discuss it.
those comments and stuff.
right.
The window for, like, comments on it is closed at this point.
Oh, we closed a while
It's
back.
been closed a long time.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, I know it's closed a while back, but I mean, if we're only gonna just start taking a look at it, you know, it's been a couple weeks, you know, if we give folks a window to respond if they wanted to, I'm just throwing it out there, because it's been a while since the deadline.
So it wasn't on this one, so question is, would you all, if I put on here for the next meeting, that y'all would vote on it? Is that okay?
Okay,
And I don't know, because of Thanksgiving,
I think what Dan was asking is that, and because we haven't discussed it, it's been on the agenda for a while, can we open it up for more comments? I think that's perfect.
I'm not doing the rules, so that's you.
No, I mean, it's up to you all voting on it or not, whatever you all decide.
I do think y'all been trying to finish it, so maybe you're gonna open it up, but again, put a date or not, or just vote, look at it, and maybe if somebody has a comment based on what y'all get, y'all receive, y'all have 2 weeks or whatever to look at.
Yeah, that's fair. I wanted to pose the opportunity to anybody who might feel like they wanted to, but I think that's fine as well.
So put it, can I put for the next meeting, once y'all decide what
What
next
day that's
date
gonna
that'll
be,
be? Okay. Thank you. We completed there, I think we weren't quite fully sure, Denise and I discussed this one. This is recommend a uniform system of forms for police misconduct investigations by LEA. We weren't quite sure what that meant, right? It was here, does someone know what that is?
I mean, I told Mama what I thought it meant, but I wasn't absolutely sure. I think you all were recommending a standard process for all departments to use and you're gonna develop a form where they can all use this format for presenting their investigations to the ACC, so the ACC is looking at the same thing in the same place every time. I mean, you were proposing a development of a form, not that you're gonna develop. I think, and then I'm not sure if that's what it means.
Does anybody know?
It was, somebody was saying that we could do that, but, municipalities have separate ways that they report, you know what I mean? We could put something that we could input our stuff in there, but we can't present them with a uniform thing because they will say, you can't change my
We
form,
can have
you
that.
know?
So the question is, should this be just taken off of the action item?
I think so, because when we did it, it was, we didn't come to a consensus, and I don't think we're to the point where we come to a consensus, and it would just create more, something for us to do that we can't get done, because we are not there where we need to be, as far as creating something that we all can agree on.
So I'll remove it. Thank you. Completed, we're on page 3. Develop and launch a comment, feedback, and outreach form, on the PAB website to include the QR link code. Denise, can you talk about that? We received comments from, Mr. Melton. We wanted to put a time.
I think Mr. Jones might have made some comments, I can't remember, but the form was shared with you guys. Finalized.
So we wanted to be able to finalize it, so, if you all could, can we put that on the next agenda as well? Okay. Thank you. And Mr. Jones, if you have, then we'll add your name to it. I didn't get them.
Next meeting.
Mr. James,
Yeah.
No, I thought she said Mr. Jones.
she did,
I said Jones.
Mr. James did too.
James as well?
Okay.
Okay.
When we on?
Maybe it was Mr. James instead of Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones, did you provide any to your knowledge?
I couldn't tell you, I might have.
Okay, we're gonna give you, because we're giving you credit for it.
Yeah, I'll take the credit.
Got it.
We're gonna give it to you. The strategic plan, we're gonna talk about that today. We've completed the transmittal of recommendations. The sections of their annual meeting, that's due on 11/15. Review and provide comments regarding the ACC recommendations, and also, we did receive from Mr. Melton and Mr. James, and they also had some, questions that were posed with regard to that. We are waiting, if anybody else has, any comments, we would ask for the next meeting as well.
On that point, I just want to make sure, Mr. Sanchez, I think last I recall, you were going to categorize some of those,
Yeah.
and that was a part of the next steps for that particular item.
I think I do have that document, I just haven't sent it out, so I'll send it out to everybody.
That's helpful, is that where to determine which PAB question should be sent to agency? So
Yeah.
that's you?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I did do that, I just don't think I sent it out. Because I think we wanted to make sure that comments, so we have our comments, ACC can answer about their recommendations versus policy questions that.
Okay, so, Ms. Sanchez, will you send that out in advance, or you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send it out, let's just put Friday as the.
The outreach, Ms. Bryant, she sent out to, I know, to the leadership, and I'm not sure, Denise, did that go to the rest of the?
No, it just went to you, Ms.
Yeah,
What
Mr. Bryant
comment?
brought it up the last meeting, so at the last meeting, I told her that she and I would get together Well,
Okay.
we'll
I
send it out
like it,
before.
no, I like.
We'll send it out before and we can discuss it maybe.
Okay.
Can we go back to one above that one, termination of the school security personnel? And it's saying that it's completed and not covered by legislation.
Right.
I didn't recall that being determined. Last I recall it sent an email, they were waiting or discussing it, or,
We sent it to the IG, and I think that was the IG's response to the.
all right. So,
And
all
so
right,
the completed meant that we sent it to the IG, and the IG responded, and that's what he said.
and the IG is saying it's not covered.
Right. Not covered by the legislation.
Can we get that?
I gave it to you all,
Okay.
and, gave you copies of his response. I can send it to you again.
Please. Okay.
Okay. So, the draft community PowerPoint, Denise, is it possible to send it out, or do you wanna meet with Ms. Bryan
Yeah, I
before
wanna
it's
meet
sent
with
out?
Ms. Bryan, yeah.
Before it's
And then
sent
work
out.
on whatever Ms. Bryan and we'll send it out, to everybody once she
I do have some time on Monday.
Monday? Okay. Afternoon or morning?
Mid-morning, like 10:30.
The next one is create a community outreach schedule. The chair, vice chair provided a list from OCR. Staff will provide options. We received a list from Tangi and staff. Vice chair, is that incorrect?
Mr. James submitted.
Schedule, okay. So we're waiting on the vice chair to provide an outline of organization, dates, times, and groups. I didn't have a date for that, so what's the vice chair would do?
Let's do 2 meetings from now, so, because the next meeting is gonna be a little packed, and there's some other work we'll have to do that next meeting.
Today, okay.
That'll be the first meeting in December.
That's the second Wednesday.
Second Wednesday?
That's something.
Okay. Review the AHB applications and recommend 10 applicants to full board. That's you, Dr. Holman, you'll have that the next meeting? Yeah.
Can I interject here for just a moment? There's a lot going on to the next meeting. Have we determined when the next meeting is?
As well.
Listen to it after this, right?
Yeah.
After this, we're gonna determine when the meeting was, right? Okay.
Next one is in both, we didn't quite, neither Denise and I knew what this meant. Provide formatting directives to legal counsel.
I have a quick question, on the previous note. So is this the subcommittee
Yes.
that is providing 10 applicant recommendations to then the full board? Okay.
I understand it. And either the chair or vice chair, do you all know what that meant? If you don't, I'm happy to take it out.
Didn't know from the,
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Establish a policy subcommittee and draft letters requesting law enforcement agency policies and procedures. That's the committee of Mr. Sancho, Mr. Jones, and Mr. James.
That subcommittee exists.
So
So that's completed, that subcommittee exists, and we meet, so that's just completed.
What do you think?
Well, it looks like further down the list, the letter is a separate item, that, like, this is to establish a subcommittee's been established, the letter that comes out of it on the list is a separate item.
yeah, okay.
So that's why
okay,
I'm
have you done the letter?
Yeah,
The letter's
I didn't
done?
send it around, I can email it to you folks now if you want to take a look. The edits are not particularly drastic. I don't know if we want to talk about it now or come back
So-
around.
Can we put a hold on that because, that did come up, whether those were two different letters. That's why I think this is different than the one below. And we did have that, so I'll skip it for now and then come back to your point.
Can we just go back one second, just remind me of the format? I think the formatting was for the annual report, to come up with the format for the annual report.
That wouldn't have been for me.
No, it wouldn't have been, but,
No.
based on her notes, she thinks it's good in the annual report and not, and maybe she should not have had your name.
Okay. So provide formatting directives. And who was doing that? That's the, me? Oh, yeah, I wouldn't have, yeah, that wouldn't.
Chair, vice chair.
So the chair and vice chair is supposed to come up, okay? So, I love putting set, I'm putting it back. Okay, when will you have that, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair?
Next meeting.
Yeah, it seems to be going,
Say next meeting, and we'll be happy.
okay.
For clarification, from your memory, this had to do with the annual report. Well, we do have to discuss the statement and all that, so I guess.
Yeah, so I guess we could meet sometime next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't wanna give me a date?
I mean, I know you want a date, so we're gonna give you a date. So I think what we'll do is we'll meet next week and have it ready and send it out, and next week we just have everybody review it before the next meeting.
We'll send it out before the next
Yeah.
meeting, I think. The agenda's getting pretty packed.
And when we go back,
I was trying not to use those two words in this meeting, but okay,
and I'm gonna skip over the one we just talked about, review and discuss need for AH policy regarding ethics disclosures and conflict of interest. Mr. Chair, since we had the meeting, do you want to just share with us,
okay, I'm sorry, I was right. Repeat that again, my apologies.
that we can just share what this means?
Oh, when we met, okay. So, okay, got you. So, we, met with, Office of Ethics, Mr. Turner, and, we have to, careful of some of the information that we share with people, particularly when it comes to email, things like that. It all sounds in a confidentiality agreement. So it's very important that when we discuss, any business that concerns the Police Accountability Board, that when we're sending emails, that those emails, when they're directed to us, that it stays with us, right? That's important. When we start sending emails, I'm copying people with those things, we don't want to get into anything where it falls under the Open Meeting Act, when we start sending out emails, if it's concerning business for the Police Accountability Board. I would just strongly encourage everyone, that when you're sending an email, to make sure that the people that you are sending it to are copying people, that we can see that. Non-copy people, I think, is a little sneaky, so we want to make sure that whenever we send an email to someone that's addressed to the Police Accountability Board or any of its members, that it stays with police. And there's some things that I'm going to have to discuss with Ms. Camp, concerning that, we're taking a look at, and how that applies to, Open Meetings Act. And when it applies, when we're sending emails discussing business within the police council. We want to be very careful when we do that.
And this came up in part of the context was, as you all know, at the last meeting, we talked about that you all are subject to disclosures and confidentiality, but the AHB is not. And so what the ethics director has suggested is that in the, application format that you all create, that you include a requirement for, ethics disclosures and conflicts of interest. Mind you, because it's not legislatively required, they couldn't just not do it, but his suggestion is that we create that as part of the requirements for those who wish to be considered for, that position. that be taken in consideration. You all are making this.
Financial disclosure, we can add that to the website, important, but it wouldn't rule them out if I'm not mistaken.
It could rule them out in terms of your voting. What it couldn't be is that the ethics, Office of Ethics could not make them do it. Not required under the.
Right, okay.
But if you gave somebody extra points for filling it out, it could impact your review. And they are talking about trying to add it somewhere back into the legislature. But that discussion led to just being asked to remind the board of the fact that you are a municipality.
Yeah, 'cause we don't want to ask people to do things that we want to.
Give me an example of what you're talking about, because you confused me. I mean, what if you say don't, I mean, if we get stuff, information, I mean, I know I do. I don't force nobody unless it's in here, you know what I mean? And I don't get what you mean. Give me an example, like sending something to a community group or what? I don't.
If anyone outside of the Police Accountability Board, if a member sends the information outside of or staff, that could potentially create a conflict somewhere.
An example, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but when you all have closed sessions, there's only certain minimal requirements when you come back out of closed session. You have to say what was voted on in open session. But the dialogue and the deliberation and comments that were made inside a closed session would be confidential.
Well, yeah.
For the whole purpose of, so if something that was said inside of a closed meeting was then shared outside of that closed meeting, then that would be an example of being in violation. Is that helpful or?
Question regarding what you're recommending, and it may be for a further discussion, but you're saying we should ask someone on their willingness to sign these?
That would be one of the requirements when you apply to the request for financial disclosure. And,
Guess what I'm trying, sequentially, it's not working for me. In other words, if we haven't made a decision on them, why would we have their financial disclosure or something beforehand? Are we gonna ask for them to give us a financial disclosure or a confidentiality agreement even before we've made a decision?
it would be the same thing that was asked of you when you applied for this position. We would also ask the AHB. That same process that you went through, they would go through.
Okay. I guess for me, it was after a decision had been made.
But you can still put in there what the expectations and
Okay.
requirements are.
The request, got it.
Would you be willing to let them know up front, this position, would you be willing to sign these? So although you wouldn't do it until we decide on you, they would know going in, correct?
We
Like-
wanted to give them create the expectations, because
No.
if they were to read the legislation, they would not know that was an expectation.
And I think the other part of that then is the sticking point that because that wasn't a part of it initially, we have HB members that have been appointed that didn't have to do that process. So we have to, after the fact, have them agree to that.
But if they say no, there's nothing that the office of
There's nothing to enforce that.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So that's.
But it was trying to
Right.
proactively
Right, so
address
moving
it.
forward, I think it's very important to do that. Okay.
Okay. The next one is email meetings and event spreadsheet to board. That was the PNC. Did I write that right?
Yes, that was completed the next day.
Okay.
That's done.
Edit letter to Chief Aziz at the last meeting. You all submitted, and then they asked you to go back and edit it.
Yeah, I have the edits, made the edits, forgot to send them around. I have them in my email, if I could forward it to folks if they want to take a look at it. Again, the changes are not particularly substantial. I know there was a question of, adding I'll send it around so folks take a look. But I know there was a question of adding, specific, you know, requirements in terms of like these documents and this time frame. You know, we discussed it and we kind of felt that we wanted to leave the questions a little bit more broad to leave space for, answers to come. You know, we didn't want to direct things too much, you know, see what responses we get. And also keeping in mind that this letter is intended to be the first step in a open conversation. And so, we kind of added there's some additions that reference, you know, data points if they can be provided. But in the subsequent paragraph, like kind of we talked about, we added a line that says, you know, any supplemental documentation that comes with that as well. We asked for it by December 15th, the written response and documents by December 15th, and for an in-person meeting during January, taking into account the holiday season and trying to give folks the opportunity to, you know, be able to plan something. But then I can send it around. It's largely the same text as it was before with some minor additions. Yeah, that's really it. I have a hard copy. I only have the one. I only printed the one. I'm sorry again. I forgot to.
If that's it, if we could make copies of it.
Yeah,
Again,
we can do that real quick.
And then just one thing, it was the 31st, right, was the date we changed?
Well, originally I said the 31st, thinking the end of the calendar year. Change it to the 15th, per recommendation, just because that still gives us 30 days out if we send within 3 days.
I must have looked at a different one then, okay.
Well, yeah, after the recommendation was made, I made that edit.
And that's what
Yeah, and that's what this is.
I got
Yeah,
you.
it was December 15th. Yeah.
So if they can get copies of that, because the
Hold
last
that right
one
now.
was to hold it so that you all can vote on the letter. So you still need to vote on the letter, see it and vote on it. So Denise, is it possible today or no? Okay. Maybe, yeah, at the end.
I
so
just
that y'all
forwarded
can vote it.
forwarded it to you.
So, Mr. Jones,
Thank
the one that said the draft letter up at the top,
Yeah.
were you seeing that as the same letter,
Well,
or?
I remember the conversation that we had about it being this being the first letter that comes out of the committee, and then using it as kind of a segue to a template that would then go to other municipalities as we, you know, like a broader, letter that goes out to ask about policies and procedures in different municipalities. So like this letter being the first step in accomplishing that secondary one.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep them separate, because this one was just for these,
Yep.
and the subcommittee was to do for all.
Will be a broader one, yeah,
broader,
and
so
that
that's
one
in
comes
there.
from this one, yeah.
Yeah, so we need a date for that one up there too, and it is still,
Do it by next meeting, honestly, or,
Okay.
you know, whenever is more comfortable for folks, but we can,
You, you had to take that one in too, right?
Yeah, I had to.
Had to. Next meeting,
okay. Edit letter to Chief of Thieves, we're gonna have that by today to vote on, right? Revised AHB selection question, Dr. Coleman. Is that the same, are they different?
No,
Is that the same, did we say it twice?
I thought.
Is this the same, or is that something different?
That was my question earlier.
Yeah,
It was
it's
two
like-
different tasks.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Task.
two different tasks.
Yeah, so that's done, because we did that.
Okay.
Yes.
Do they have them?
I don't think we sent them, no, because I confused it with this process, but
Okay,
I can send it, but they're done.
Okay. If you
They're
send-
done, yes.
Okay, so if you send them, we'll keep that date, and, have time, I guess you could vote on it today. Develop an assignment calendar, that staff's gonna work, and that was based on Mr. Chair, your, directive, so we'll collapse this in just each person who has to do it, it'll be a shorter form. Okay, so we don't have to do this. Okay.
Yes.
Identify 10 sampling cases, Vice Chair Sanchez.
Yes, so I did want to apologize to everyone. I did end up having a technical difficulty getting access to them. There's a little bit of interesting way that it's organized, so clean that up, so you guys will get that tomorrow. You'll get the list of 10 cases. And that's why I'd like to have not as much stuff on the agenda for next meeting, because I'd like for us to be able to spend some time reviewing those cases at the next meeting.
Okay, so you want to do complete review of the 10 cases based on you at the next
Yep.
meeting? Okay.
I have to get one.
I know. The provide access, that was completed, and then provide comments regarding PAB website. That was a request, Denise. At the time we talked, nobody had responded to provide comments regarding PAB website.
I only got the comments from Mr. Jensen.
Okay. They were due today.
I got them probably the day after.
Yeah. The rest of them were due today. Can we put that?
And we addressed some of those comments. I know we addressed their main comment, his main comment already. Those complaints have been put in a different place where we can actually get them put.
Is anybody else gonna want to make any comments, or can I just say, Mr. James' comments make it complete?
Yeah.
So the change in
Mel, do you want to say next meeting? Okay.
I did have a question about that though. Considering some of the things we try to accomplish by the end of the calendar year and us meeting every 2 weeks, and you also wanting to sort of carve out enough time for us to review cases with the next meeting, us possibly losing another meeting with, Christmas week, might we wanna put together an alternative strategy to provide updates via email? Instead of, because some of this stuff, we could probably just say, here's where we are with it, instead of waiting to the meeting,
To
'cause,
discuss it.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think that'll be when the way that she talked about the calendar going out, that'll make it a lot easier.
It'll be done. After this,
Okay.
we're changing it,
So
cause
then
it's
each
just,
individual will have
Okay.
what their assignments are, and we can report, then we'll be able to report out individually. But that would be good if we just remember maybe a week before the next meeting to report out via email, so we don't have to.
Okay.
this will be it for this. So there are six items on this, on here for next meeting.
Mr. O'Neill.
So what is the drop dead date to get our annual report out? What's the date, huh?
December 31st.
Okay. And that's, I mean, we have to have it printed and everything, and have it out, or on the web, I mean.
Yes, sir.
Because the reason I asked that, I was, and I don't know if it's appropriate time, but, you know, we're looking at, you know, I thought this discussion, we need to talk about the next meetings, because we done put a lot in there, because I'm looking at the 8th now, and, you know, people saying we won't have nothing the 22nd. You know, I mean, maybe we need to look at the 29th, because,
Is that, have we confirmed that?
no, I'm just asking,
No,
I mean,
think
because,
that's the next.
Yeah, before we get there, I don't wanna hold the meeting up. Just, can we, when it's sent out, all the things that we're supposed to send out, can we get a synopsis of what we're supposed to have? Like a quick, we're having these documents, there's a lot of, I think you said it was 6?
No, this is,
Or
the thing, of this.
the next meeting.
Next meeting.
The next meeting for the thing that we as a board have to review or look at, can we get a brief synopsis of what those documents are, what we should be expecting, and what comments that we should be providing? I just wanna make sure, because it was a lot, and I don't wanna hold us up, but if we can just kinda get what I'm supposed to be looking at and what I'm.
What we can do for this, it'll say the date on here, we'll send this out by tomorrow. How about that?
And then the documents that are coming, 'cause aren't there some documents we're supposed to be reviewing?
So I think that's what
Just
Mr.
one.
Elton was talking about, was that after this, we're each gonna get they're setting up a calendar, so each individual person will get here's what you're supposed to present or provide to everyone, so we're gonna send that out ahead of time. Is that what you're referring to? So you'll know.
Yes and no, because I thought as a whole, we're supposed to be looking at certain documents that everybody has comment on.
Right.
And you're saying that's gonna take care of that?
No. Well, what I'm saying is, because what you're worried about is, like, if I have an assignment, how I have to get it out.
No.
No,
So
it's
I'm worried about
right.
right, not my assignment, because I'm clear on that, but if maybe I missed
But I
something.
can give you an example,
Yeah.
like community outreach plan. If that's one that y'all supposed to be ready for next week, you need that in advance to make sure you can
And then a
respond.
reminder to say, provide
Yeah.
comments by.
Right, that's all I'm saying, what document, I just wanna make sure that I don't miss anything, and if I wanna provide, I may not wanna get comments, but if I, I'm supposed to, I just wanna know exactly what.
Okay.
So if it's okay, Mr. Chairman, Denise and I can talk tomorrow, and I'll finish this tonight after this meeting, and then we can go over what documents need to be attached in order for them to meet that. Does that help?
Yeah.
Brian.
I just forwarded it to her.
Okay.
So hopefully, Ms. Bryant, it should be in your email, the letter. Let me know if it's not, I can shoot it.
So,
I
I got
was
you,
gonna say,
thank
on the last point, that might be an opportunity, or, we have the Outlook, we have our PG emails, I feel we don't use too often, so that might be a way to, utilize that calendar while I have access to that. It's like a shared kind of thing, so that could be, that can make it easier to just throw in, stuff in there.
One of the things that can't come from you, so it's gotta come from Denise.
Say again?
I thought I heard you say you would share something.
No.
Oh, okay. So everything goes to Denise to come.
We're talking about the calendar.
Oh, okay.
We've been able to share that using the email,
Okay.
Outlook program.
So by tomorrow, I will send this, Denise, I'll send this out, we'll send this out by tomorrow.
Got your hand up, Mr. Williams?
Yes, so I guess what I was getting at, I don't know if this will come into new business. We need to decide how many more meetings we're gonna have before the end of the year. And I was suggesting that if we look at the calendar, if the 22nd is 2 days before Thanksgiving, not do that, maybe do the 29th to have a next meeting.
I think one of the things that we were trying to do was find out everything that we had to complete, and then I thought it would be beneficial to find out what we had to do to decide the next meeting date.
Mr. Chair, I did want to remind on this action sheet that you all had committed to 11:15
Right.
to have your sections of the annual meeting completed.
Yeah,
Okay.
all I'm saying is that I'm looking at going by what we have. The next meeting is gonna be the 13th. Now I'm suggesting, because everybody's saying the 22nd is the next day, scheduled meeting. And that's 2 days before Thanksgiving, nobody's gonna do that. Do we wanna put well, we can take a vote, I ain't got no problem with that, I ain't doing the turkey, so, So, we need a vote on that, see, because everybody looking at, I don't wanna get an email and say, we didn't cancel the next meeting, it's not until the 13th of December. If we wanna complete stuff, and then everybody's saying, we're saying everything's supposed to be done by the 31st. I'm just opening it up.
So one of the things I thought was, what we were doing was that, I thought you mentioned that we would discuss that after we found out the amount of things that we had to do. So that's going to be discussed, we're not gonna leave here not knowing, and we can discuss that, but I thought it was important, and I thought Marvin Joe was going through the things to find out if some things had been completed, if some things needed to be completed, and then after that, we can decide, knowing what we have to do, we can decide on the date, because it will be tough to get a lot of things done on the 22nd, for obvious reasons. So we would discuss as a board what day we would want to meet, so we're going to do that. But I thought it was important to get through this document first. I thought everybody was.
I thought we would do it, that's why I brought it up, I waited till the last minute, Go ahead.
I guess in making sure that document is complete, we have the sections that are coming in by November 15th, but at what point will we look at a holistic view of that document? And I think that needs to be on there, and I understand the agenda is already heavy, but at some point, we need to be reviewing that annual report and approving it so that it can be published by that 31st date.
And so we would, I'm hoping that can be done sometime in December.
Okay.
And that's what I was saying, if, I'm just looking at what we got on the calendar, where it's setting up. If we haven't decided to meet the 22nd, I don't know if the next actual meeting that I'm looking at, according to what we're talking about here, is the 13th of December. And we won't be able to do all that. I'm just saying, we need to make that decision. Are we gonna have 2 more meetings or 3 more meetings? You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. Go ahead.
So it sounds like we can take an opportunity to talk about what needs to get done. and then have a conversation about meetings and availability.
Okay, right.
That can help us determine if even the possibility of an additional meeting. So I think that would be something that we all just have to kind of be intentional about, and then
Takes time and follow the agenda. Can we just discuss that under new business? Yes,
I
ma'am.
was just gonna mention, Greenbelt got did y'all see that, the FBI headquarters?
Oh, that's the story.
Yeah, I saw that. That is amazing after years. But that's a huge thing.
Thank you.
Wow. We got a Democratic president, and you should have got it in.
Congratulations, Principal.
Yeah, right.
Right,
So exciting.
all right.
All right, great.
Sorry.
No, that's
Really
new
excited.
business.
Yeah.
That's announcement right there. Okay, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So you done, correct, Marcel?
So done. Oh,
So I will, we can't say next meeting, we did.
You can say it.
Right.
We just don't want to be.
It's the United States Constitution at the next meeting.
So on the, strategic plan, we actually did meet, and it was actually more left that hadn't been done. We got through probably 80% of it, and we're on the last, maybe last two goals. And so we'll be in training, and so what we agreed that during our training in Chicago, we will, sit together and finish it. But we did get through quite a bit of it, but then we're still a little bit left. So, but we feel pretty confident that we'll finish it.
And then you, okay.
And it was a great meeting, so.
You, Ms. Pam?
Yes.
Okay. Mrs. Springs requested, exactly, a list of the documents that we need, and then have those documents met. So we can make sure that within timely manner, we can review that and make comments for the next. Okay. You just said some, I'm sorry, action item.
That was that.
Okay. All right, cool. Okay, next up is case review process. Ms. Hall.
Well, Mr. Sanchez said that he was gonna get the presentations to you guys to review. I thought maybe we would have it to talk about.
Oh, okay.
So we'll table that for the next meeting.
You had to say it too, so I think, and again, what Mrs. Springs is saying, I think when the vice chair sends that out, we can look at that. If we have any thoughts or anything, let's go ahead and send out some emails, questions about that, so we can kind of not have everything for the next meeting, just going into it, waiting to discuss it there. That's okay. And, yes, sir.
Is everybody able to access Wi-Fi so that their laptop can work here when we're in the building? Mine did not work last time.
Yeah.
At one point early on, it was working, but last meeting, it would not work. I know we keep having an issue with sort of getting sort of the IT service, but I really think that's important for us. We're gonna be reviewing the cases. It'd be awesome to be able to pull them up and not have to print everything. Right. Because it's not even feasible to print everything. So if there's any way we can get a working Wi-Fi access for next meeting, that would be great.
We're still working on it. It's a hit and miss thing. We've had, IT over here multiple times. Like you said, it was working at one point, then it's not working. We don't know it's not working until it's not working.
So what
Yeah, let me just jump in real quick. I'm the IT coordinator for the office, so had I known the last time that you guys didn't have access, we could have worked it out, like, over the past several days since the last time we met. So if you run into any issues and it's not a meeting day, please feel free to give me a call and I can make arrangements. There's certain people I'm working with now, just troubleshooting their issues. So if I know, then we'll get on it. So I thought, for the most part, that the Wi-Fi issue was over. and, yeah.
Mine is like,
One
when I
thing
try
we
to
might be able
connect
to
to the
do-
VPN at home, it connects, but then I couldn't pull up the cases
Yeah.
following your instructions, but it said the VPN was connected.
Did you use the run feature?
I did. And it
I
worked,
think what we're
and
going
then
to
it
do,
didn't.
maybe because of the meetings going through the end of, the year, maybe make sure an IT person is here at the beginning of the meeting to resolve any issues. Now, I can't promise that for every meeting, and I can't even promise you that for the next couple. I can promise that we will ask and try to make that happen.
Well, I did talk to, our liaison,
Terrence.
Sanchez, been working with, Terrence, and he just called me actually. So what I'll do is I'll email him a copy you, and then you guys can kind of, discuss it, because he's willing to help whenever we need.
Yeah, that sounds good though, like, even if it's just 6 to 6:30, that sounds good.
Well, I'll see if I can get somebody, time to come over
Okay.
for the next, you know,
Open our computers up and look at them that way.
But another thing too is how often you use your computer. If you're not using it, it's not gonna work.
Because of the update.
They update it the security updates so often, so if you only use your computer once a month, they're gonna kick you out.
They will deactivate.
They will deactivate you every single time. Ours don't ever get deactivated because we're on them every day, but
They can't create a list of PAB members.
they're not
and
gonna
say,
do that.
Because of the way that the policy, security policy.
I appreciate it.
And we have 900 employees.
Yeah, they're not gonna do that.
Well, if they
So
fix
just,
it once a
even if
week,
you just
yeah.
open your you don't plan on doing anything right away, just like
Gotcha.
log on to it,
Gotcha.
like 2 to 3
Every
times a week.
week, gotcha.
When you send your invoices to Ashley for your timesheet, I would just do it from your laptop.
Just once.
That's what I'm saying, like, even if you just go with it out,
with this
Yeah.
calendar
log it into the
feature,
VPN and
and we put the
everything.
calendar in Teams, or SharePoint or whatever, you're gonna be forced to go into your computer and look at the calendar.
We'll get it taken care of.
Mhm.
Because you're saying when you get your 10 cases, we all have to have our computer open, isn't that what you're saying? So we have to look at them, you know,
You're gonna have to review them at home before you come, so you have to use the computer for that.
okay.
And
But
then
when we get in here to open it
it'd
up,
be nice to be able to have that, yeah. And then we'll also need some power, like, we're gonna need a big,
strip or something.
surge protector in the middle, so that
That's not gonna
everyone.
be a problem.
Yeah, we have one right here, we put one in the middle.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good, 'cause I'm sure these things suck power pretty quickly over there.
But definitely, once they fix it, access it 2 to 3 times a week.
No, Mr. Melton, also at least once a week. Thank you, Denise. Business, so we can go ahead and discuss this, next meeting.
Chair, do we want to talk about the letter before that, or?
Oh, you got it? Oh, okay. You did email that, thank you.
Sure.
Danny.
Again, I'll just highlight, the changes, largely the same. In the 4th question, the 6th question, and the 7th question, there is an additional sentence that just asks for specificities and, information about, the ability to kind of track that, you know, as an opening to provide some data and numbers. And then in the subsequent paragraph, at the bottom, the date is added, and, changing the name for, the month from November to January for an in-person meeting trying to get scheduled.
And this is not the one that Marcia may suggested change, this is a different letter,
No,
correct?
this is.
So none of the changes she put it, are in here, right, or am I missing it?
Well, not the
change.
specific words, no, but the spirit of the suggestions were involved.
Not really, but it's fine.
Well,
I don't think so,
The suggestions were centered around requesting specific documentation,
Right.
Per question. And so in the final paragraph, again, with the idea that, we want to try and keep the questions more broad to, allow space for a conversation and to give Chief Malik Aziz the space to respond, we requested supplemental documentation in the paragraph, in the bottom. And again, in certain questions, in 4, 5, and 7, requested specificities and gave room for that additional, documentation to be provided. And again, this is with the concept that this letter is intended to be the first in a broader conversation. So we will continue to have opportunities to request additional information. We will continue to have opportunities to interact with, Chief Aziz, you know, we're gonna be interacting with him for a long time, you know, with this house and this board, so this is really the beginning of a relationship and the beginning of a conversation.
Chair, do you all have a copy of the suggested, so that they can vote, see and vote, you know, see and vote?
Suggested what? What?
Say that again, Denise?
You all were giving hard time.
Oh.
What?
I
She's referring to the suggested parts.
I don't think she had one, I don't think we had our, I couldn't find it, did we have one?
Yeah, we
I couldn't find
Yeah,
it.
I just
It was highlighted.
Okay.
Like, you demanding, I mean, I don't know.
She did, she came prepared. Yeah, she printed them out.
You're right, I just can't find mine, I might have had my, a different backpack.
That's it. I can find it.
If you can find it, if not, Denise, do you have it electronically, can you get it, does anybody?
You talking about this letter, you know?
Yeah.
Yep,
It should have been at the top.
Yep, that's the one.
Mhm.
That's the one.
Everyone's looking at?
Me too. Oh, there we go. I got it.
Oh, hello.
I know exactly what it is.
Look, hello.
Oh,
Everybody got it?
oh.
Right, look.
We're all finding it at the same time.
Right, hello.
So how about this is my suggestion, maybe, let's take a look at those suggestions that Marcia provided, and kind of review those suggestions with the letter, and if we can vote on it by Monday, is that possible?
I thought we did that.
What, we already voted? Well, what I was saying is that some of the, I'd like to look at them and see, and weigh what's in here to make sure that, I think that it's only fair to look at some of what Marcia, I don't remember everything. But I mean, that's just a suggestion, you know?
If I recall, and I'm just asking, y'all had that letter had her suggestions in it.
Yes,
And then y'all were going to edit it with, maybe with some of those suggestions
yeah,
or
taking the
not.
suggestions into account, make edits,
Right.
which we did, we incorporated, maybe not the specific words of the edits that she provided, but the spirit of it, the idea of it is in the letter. And I mean, I would say, I guess I might be a little confused as to the point of subcommittees if the product of the committee, like if you revert back to what you did before, then there's no point in us meeting to do work, you know, to take into account suggestions if we're just gonna come back as a whole group and then go back to the drawing board anyways.
Well, that's, okay, and so, did you email this to us prior? Or
This?
Yeah.
No, this
Okay.
was today. This was, well, my understanding was that as the subcommittee, we were given the directive to provide a final product that is ready to be voted on by the board.
Okay.
So we can take a look at it now and we vote to approve it now. I didn't think that there would be, or maybe it wasn't clear that there would be an additional comment period or that additional folks wanted to be involved in that process.
Well, yeah, I know, but sometimes things change, so looking at it, we just wanted to make sure that, those comments that were provided were, accurately reflected or fairly reflected in the letter. That's all.
No, I hear you, completely understand that. I think, I just, again, then I don't see the use of subcommittees. If we just go back to the drawing board, like, I think that part of the subcommittee is trusting the discretion of the members, of myself, Mr. James, and Mr. Sanchez. But, I mean, yeah, I mean, how the board feels is how the board feels.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I thought we did discuss this. And we talked about this in a sense that, you know, if you go down this, the one, is, you know, I mentioned that you'll get a real negative thing because each one provides documentation, each one. And you brought back this, which is the final copy, and all we need to do is vote on this. And that is what we're gonna send out. You know, we don't need to, like you say, we don't need to keep on meeting. And I propose we take a vote and say that this is the final meeting. That's what I'm saying, you know what I mean? Because we don't need to keep on playing with this.
Well, just to kind of clarify I understand your concern on subcommittees. Subcommittees do work, bring it to the body still has an opportunity. Like right now, if Ms. Springs or Mr. Melton decide to change something, the body still has an opportunity to change. The work isn't finalized coming out of the subcommittee, right? The work is done, it's presented to the subcommittee to vote on, right? But of course, the members are now viewing it, so everyone has an opportunity to still be able to.
No, yeah, that's completely understood.
And I don't want you to get confused, because I think that's what the chair was aiming at, is he wants to make sure that the members have a chance to take a look at the new one, because they didn't get it ahead of time.
Yeah,
And if people aren't comfortable voting on it tonight, then maybe we could just do a virtual vote instead, just to give everyone an opportunity, if there is an amendment that someone wants to make to the letter, that they can make, still respecting the work of the subcommittee, because I don't want it to get lost either, that.
No, that's completely understood. I was hearing the conversation go in the way of talking about the previous version of the letter.
Oh, sure.
And that's why I was like, well, then I don't understand why this got drafted, if we're not gonna look at this one, but we're gonna look at the previous one.
Right, yeah.
And so if we're working off of this one, 100%, you
Yeah.
know, it's brought to the group, we discussed it now.
Yeah.
If there is to be made, let's take it back and do that, fine.
Right, yeah. Yeah, because that's what
that
I
was my
heard
previous.
from even Ms. Springs. I think she just wanted to be able to compare
That was it.
what was presented before to what was here now in the edited version,
That was it.
to make sure that the changes, I guess, that she felt, right, it was
Yeah.
reflected in there. Yeah.
That's it, and we can vote, I mean, we can vote, I mean, I don't necessarily, because when we brought it up initially, there was never agreement at the table as far as somebody changes, some people wanted to change it, some didn't. The letter reflects that, and it's fine, because there's no need to go back and forth with it. So, we can vote on it and send it out.
So I had a motion on the floor that we accept this letter. Can I get a second? That's all.
I'll second.
The motion on the floor to accept the letter as is that was changed, that we have in front of us now. Motion made by Mr. O'Neill, seconded by Mr. Jones. All in favor to accept the letter?
We can have a discussion first.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, just, if anyone has
Okay.
any comments.
Yeah, so I just had, minor edits to number 5, the overall structure of the letter, I think, to me, seems to capture the spirit of what Marcia had, and the rest of us had sort of recognized in terms of, individual documentation requests for every single number. But number 5 reads a little funny, so I just shared with Daniel how I think it could just be reworded. Could say, in what way does the department actively work to deter negative behaviors by officers which may pose a danger to the community? If our discussion includes an ability to rectify the language, I would be okay accepting it, but reject it so that that's altered. I'll vote accordingly.
Probably like, so as amended, right?
Yeah, if you, I would defer to you, because you did put the primary work into writing the letter.
Yeah.
So if you're comfortable accepting
Yeah,
that.
technically, that's absolutely fine.
So you okay with that change?
Yeah.
And then you could make that change
Would that
for
be,
us.
would that be like a motion, like I move to amend the letter, we approve that, and then we approve the letter as amended?
He's
No,
already made.
We're in
he's
It's
discussion.
good? Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're in
Then all right.
discussion, so
Then yeah.
we're just.
Yeah, no, that's, one of
You can accept it as a friendly change and
Cool.
edit to the letter.
Yep.
You're gonna make that change then?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yep,
thank
yep.
you. Is that it, Mr. Melton? Anyone else? That's it.
Good, I'm ready to vote.
Go ahead and do it. All right. In favor to accept the letter with the, change for number 5. Pose a danger to the community, and Mr. Jones will make that correction. Accept that with this letter. Aye, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ms. Bryant, is she there? Did you raise your hand, Ms. Bryant? Oh, okay, thank you.
I
You
was
yes?
aye.
Thank you. All right, unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Sir.
No.
Thank you.
And I just have a question, you all want me, when you're gonna send the change,
Yes.
you're gonna put it on letterhead, and your signature, and send it to, Lee, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you want your CCs to go to?
Everybody.
Everybody.
I mean, outside of this group.
Oh, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, that was my question, like, what was those next steps to get it,
Oh, okay.
then executed, but you all.
Okay. Thank you again, John.
No, thank you to the subcommittee.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for making those edits. You got all those, but.
Yeah, it's all good, it's all good.
Love it. Okay, thank you. And going back, to new business, question of the next meeting date.
Looney Tunes sounds like.
Mr. Milton said he wants to get out the house, so the 22nd is all right with you. Is that what you said? I'm gonna go to the grocery store on the 22nd. You say
We can make it all virtual, whatever it takes.
So what you looking at the
We just
22nd?
discussed
This regular meeting or what?
That's what needs to be done.
I mean, I'll be here regardless. I'm okay with whatever.
I won't be here. I can be here virtually though.
I think maybe because a lot of people will be preparing and doing things like that and expecting that, so maybe it would be wise to take it virtual. I think it would be helpful for all of the things that we had to do, that we start looking at that and, we'll be prepared to just go ahead and move forward on some things. Try to limit as many discussions as possible.
Well, I mean, what about just doing it for the 29th then? That's what I'm saying, you know? Yeah. 29th is, and then we got the 13th coming up, because we can't do, when we look at December, can't do the 4th, because that's 2 days after Christmas and everybody, you know. Just saying.
Well, we were asking about the 22nd, so is everybody okay with the 22nd? If you're not able to make it virtually,
I'm just saying.
okay, so we will go ahead and schedule the date of the 22nd from 6 to 8 p.m. on,
6 to 8 p.m. and 6:30.
6:30, I'm sorry. Thank you. So you,
I mean, there's nothing wrong
We
with
have to take a
changing it, I
vote?
just want to
Just,
get clarification.
But then we'll get the feedback from IT on if they can.
all right,
Well,
so,
wait a minute, so
Not,
I thought
not
it
for
was
the,
virtual.
not the 22nd.
The 22nd
right.
is virtual, right?
I mean,
Actually, yeah, if we need to be in person.
I was gonna actually, I thought it was a good idea for the 29th, because I think of all the things that we have to do, we probably should be here.
not, okay.
But, because of the discussion of the items that we're talking, it's gonna be hard to discuss, things on the,
So
so.
I'll try to make it, I do have something.
Oh, okay.
But I know you guys can still meet, but I'll try to go ahead and make it. So if the 29th works for everybody else, then, yeah.
I would vote on the 29th, yes.
The 29th, Ms. Bryant, okay, 29th, and Ms. Vick. So everybody who would like to meet on the 29th, let me just say a show of hands.
I mean, because it's in person, it will be in person.
Yes, ma'am. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, so then that's unanimous. So we'll go with the 29th.
So the 22nd is virtual.
No.
No, we ain't
It's
gonna
in
have,
place of,
We changed it.
Oh, we're not, so
Yeah.
the 22nd is off.
Correct.
Okay,
we're gonna have it the following Wednesday.
On the 29th, in person. Okay.
And if anybody have any, oxtail left over, they can bring it in.
but the 15th still remains the date that everybody's gonna get their part of the annual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right about that. Yeah. If I do that, then you have to pay me for that week.
Okay.
comment, you all give me your, the part of the annual report, so when you get it to me, not in bullet form, so you write the sentences, so you all gonna write the section, right narrative, right? Okay. I do understand what the
Mr. Milton
expectation
understands the
is.
assignment, right? All right, cool. Get on the new business, but, announcements, I don't have anything. Does anybody else have anything other than Prince George's County one, the FBI building? Yeah, so.
Cause what was the other place in the valley?
Yeah.
It wasn't Land of Fall.
Ms. Camp, do you have anything? Don't remember what that was, but probably not. But thank you for the reminder. So that's all I have.
Sure. I'll say, I know you usually like to give folks in the audience opportunity to introduce themselves. I see we have members.
Chief, someone.
Chief Morris, good evening, sir. How you doing? Thank you for joining. Would you like to come off mute and just say hello and introduce yourself? Tell us where you're from.
Good evening, everyone. Just listening intently. Thank you for all your hard work. Certainly not an easy chore to try to figure all of this out. And if there's any consolation, you're not alone, because there's 23 other jurisdictions in the same boat. Everybody trying to work through this, but it's not lost on me as a chief of police. The work that all of you are doing and putting into this, try to make this police accountability piece work. So I was happily retired for 3 months after 38 years of doing this job, and received an unsolicited phone call from the town of Cheverly. They asked me to come out of retirement, so I'm in about week 17. But good to be back and doing this job on behalf of all of our communities. And I know that all of you are working very hard. So just keep up the good work, and we'll get through this together.
Thank you. And Chief Morris, how long were you a police officer?
So I did, I did 26 years with Prince George's County Police. I retired as a major in 2011. And then I was the chief of police in the town of Riverdale Park for another 10 years and retired in 2021 to take the job as the chief of staff for Chief Alwood over in Anne Arundel County. And I went over there for 2 years. And then I thought after 38 years, I'd had about enough. So I retired back in March. And in June, I received the unsolicited phone call from Mr. Galloway and Chevrolet asking if I would consider coming out of retirement. And so I chose to do so. I love this profession, and more importantly, I love the men and women that are willing to take on the challenge. So I'm back in the game for as long as the good Lord will keep me here, and look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you. So usually when you come out of retirement, that's just your way of just moving to another position. When you come out of retirement, that's just your way of moving to another position, right?
That's pretty much, yeah.
You go into retirement, I'm sorry. Yeah, but thank you so much for joining us and sitting patiently and listening. Thank you so much. I think that's Ash, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Jones. You got better eyes.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure.
That's it. Yeah, okay, so, that's it. It's your case.
Oh. Move to adjourn?
Second it.
Whoa. Motion to adjourn, made by Mr. Sanchez, seconded by Ms. Spring. All in favor to adjourn, say aye. Any opposed, other than Ms. Spring? Okay, unanimous. Thank you again, Chief. Thank you, Ms. Bryan.
Okay, you guys, everyone have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your family.
You too, Ms. Bryan.
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, adjourn, I'm sorry. It's 7:59.